there's some unique nouns in the English language that have specific rules for what type of verbs they are paired with. So one of these unique nouns are called indefinite pronouns. And even if we aren't familiar with the word indefinite or the term indefinite pronouns, we've definitely seen these before, right? They're words that begin with each, every, some, or any. And they usually end with thing, one, right? So, for example, anything, someone, right? You can also end in time, right? Um, or body. Sorry, actually, that was the one that I wanted to use here, not time, but body. So if I say anybody or nobody, okay. So it usually begins with one of these four beginnings. Let's add no there as well. Okay, and then it pairs with one of these three endings. So words like each by itself can work, right? Or somebody, everybody, nothing. But the thing that's nice about this is just whenever you see these pronouns, they're called again indefinite pronouns, it's always going to be a singular verb. Okay, so each gets a trophy for playing. Somebody has to pay for this. Everybody enjoys a good book. Nothing has been determined yet. Right? If we use kind of our deductive reasoning or maybe our common sense, this third example can sound kind of weird because when we say everybody, we mean multiple people, right? This is usually a lot of people, or at least maybe a class full of people. So you might be thinking that this should be plural, but our English rules say that's not true. Okay? Everybody, even though it is usually multiple people, is not plural. It's singular. And enjoys would be then the singular verb that we use to go with it. Okay? Another type of kind of tricky noun is something called a collective noun, right, which represents a group of people. So, going through the examples, usually groups will behave singularly, right? If we were talking about a group, they do things together, but sometimes they'll be doing different things. So we can look at a couple examples here, like the committee. Okay, this is our collective noun. It's our subject, and the committee meets. It'll be singular here every Thursday. The committee meets here every Thursday. And the reason this is singular is because everyone at the committee is doing the same thing. They're all arriving at the same location every Thursday. Similarly, the next one, we say the crowd is getting angry because everyone in the crowd is presumably getting angry. They're all acting as one, or they're all doing the same thing. So if they're acting as one and doing the same thing, we use a singular verb. The next one, again, just another example here. The jury has finally reached a decision, right? Because the jury has to all agree upon the decision, they act as one, and so they have a singular verb. Another example, the majority rules most of the time. Again, because everyone in the majority has the same opinion, they act as one. So at this point, you might be thinking, well, this is really repetitive. What's the point of this? We just always pick singular verbs. Not always. There is an exception, which is when a group, like a staff, right, acts separately. Here it says going their separate ways for the holidays. So in this case, because it's multiple staff members, these are my staff members here, and they're going in different directions or going to different places for the holidays, they're actually acting separately. And then when they act separately, we use a plural verb, have. Okay. So the rule here for collective nouns, if the group, first off, a collective noun represents a group. So a couple common collective nouns is like the team, or the class, or the neighborhood. Right? All these nouns refer to multiple people working together. But when they work together to do one thing, you're going to use a singular verb. However, if the group or the class or the team or the neighborhood do separate things, then you use a plural verb. So remember, acting as one, singular verb. Acting separately, plural verb. All right. The last thing here is just a little exercise on making sure our pronouns agree with each other, with the other nouns that they refer to. Right? And this will again come up a lot on standardized tests where we want to make sure that the nouns that are being referred to by a pronoun are matching in plurality. So let's look at our first example here. It says Jane and Sarah said they, because we have two subjects or two nouns, Jane and Sarah, were too tired to skate any longer. So they refers to the two nouns here. Okay. Next example, neither Mary nor Susan. Okay, so this is that trick, right? That unique rule. Neither Mary nor Susan, so we're going to focus on Susan as our subject. And that means that we will have just a singular subject, she, because Susan is singular. Next one says, every student wants to impress. Well, every is an indefinite pronoun, which we said is always singular. So the singular option here for a pronoun is his or her. Right? Because it's or, it means you're choosing one or the other, not both. So this is also singular, his or her. Next one, the jury was asked to return to. Here it's interesting because in our previous example, jury was acting as one, right? The jury has made their decision. That's a singular verb. But here the jury is going to go to independent seats, right? They're not all going to go to the same seat. They're all going to go to their own individual seats. These are my little seats that they're standing on, apparently. But because they're going to individual seats, it's their seats. And you can even use the word seats to help you realize that this is multiple seats going on. Okay, so the jury was asked to return to their seats. Here it's plural. Next one, please remind each student to bring his or her homework tomorrow. Again, each, that indefinite pronoun tells us that's definitely going to be singular, so his or her. Again, each, and here we see a prepositional phrase, each of the girls had her assignment completed. Right, so each tells us that it should be singular. And this is just an example of how a prepositional phrase of the girls can be completely ignored, right? You don't want girls to somehow mess up your understanding of the pronoun. Girls is not the subject, so we don't need to match it. Okay, we ignore the word girls because it's in the prepositional phrase. We focus on the word each, which is singular. Next example, every worker in this office needs his or her. Again, indefinite pronoun, so we use the singular pronoun. The committee finally made its decision public. So make a quick comparison here between this example, which talks about a committee, which can be very similar to a jury, right? You can imagine that you can call a jury a committee or vice versa. So they kind of represent the same group of people. But in this example, because the committee made one decision and acted as one group, we use the singular pronoun, its decision. Whereas previously the jury was returning to separate seats. And so we use the plural pronoun, their seats. All right, the next one, nobody, that's an indefinite pronoun. Remember to bring his or her, indefinite pronouns, always singular. Okay. Indefinite pronouns are always singular. Nobody is an indefinite pronoun. Each teacher, all right, turned in his or her grades. Next one, the choir presented its final performance. Well, again, this is a collective noun. And this collective noun is doing one performance together. So it's going to be its, the singular pronoun. Okay, the choir acts as one group, so it has a singular pronoun its. And the last one here, either the employees or Mrs. Jones. So or means we're going to focus on just the last noun. Miss Jones is singular, so it's going to be her. Either the employees or Miss Jones will make her presentation. Remembering that with nor / or, you're always going to focus on the last subject. Okay, to determine what our pronouns or what our verbs should be.